president just made the national security strategy public, and it seems to be the dust just before the storm. That and more on today's Cyber Threat Intel Report.
What's up, Cyber Rangers, and welcome back to the YouTube section of the Cyber Ranger universe. I am your host, Remote, and I'm delivering you your Cyber Threat Intel Report for 13 December. So before we get started into the national security strategy, we got to start off with a cyber vulnerability that has been sweeping across the cyberverse called React to Shell. So this is an attack that is being used mainly by the PRC China hacking groups to exploit JavaScript. If you're using a React server, and what a React server is that it's a JavaScript library where it stores already pre-made components for developers to build things like a user interface. So whatever you're interacting with on a website, the way that this exploit works is that they inject code into the URL. So when you're typing in that HTTP, they inject code into there. So that way, when it gets sent off to the server, that server is going to execute that code. And it can do things as far as escalating privileges or possibly retrieve information from your database if you're using this. They released a patch for it. So if you go out to the React website, they've released a patch out there. So just make sure that you guys are updating your servers and updating your JavaScript files. And as we approach the end of the year, Microsoft just recently announced that they have released over 1,150 patches for the year of 2025. They recently issued 2 proof of concepts, one for PowerShell and one for GitHub, to prove the concept of remote code execution on these platforms. Microsoft being a leading manager of vulnerabilities and cyber threat intelligence to make sure that developers and cybersecurity analysts alike can work together and try and engineer those security protocols and security configurations. This is an important milestone, and it speaks volumes to Microsoft's dedication of releasing these vulnerability reports and releasing this information for the entire cyber community and making sure that everybody is protecting and using the most updated information. Them being consistent with this thing called Patch Tuesday, where every Tuesday they release a patch for vulnerabilities that they have found with their own research, making everybody's cyber universe safer. And without further ado, we get to the national security strategy. The president just released this 33-page document, but to focus more on the cybersecurity aspect of it, it's making cybersecurity for national defense rely mainly on privatized U.S. companies. There's an acceptance of deregulating these companies and cutting off that red tape to allow for them to be more innovative and explore more innovative options. For example, just recently, the president allowed NVIDIA to sell computer chips to China. This is an act to use Chinese support and use Chinese funding to help NVIDIA to continue those efforts in innovation. You can also see this in Pete Hegseth's adoption of AI, artificial intelligence, that was just released specifically for the military, that leverages large language models such as ChatGPT and Google Gemini. But this is presenting a problem because when things become too innovative, we're also leaving national defense and national security open to vulnerabilities that have not yet been explored or not yet discovered. We talked about those 0 days not too long ago. AI does have a vulnerability currently that is kind of hard for people to patch or to mitigate, and this is AI prompt injection. This is where people are putting prompts into AIs, and the AI is reading those prompts and changing its configurations and divulging information from the database. And the reason why this is so difficult to manage is because any prompt that you put in, the AI is fundamentally going to see that as injection. And it's hard for the AI to separate what's instruction or what's injection from what is just pure data. And until we're able to meet that middle ground or have somebody go in and be able to verify those prompts, this issue is pretty much going to continue. So the best thing that we can do to try and mitigate these is just make sure that the AI models that you are implementing, if you're implementing them in your organization, make sure that they have the least amount of privileges and that they have the least amount of access or If you want to really lock it down, make sure those prompts are being verified. If a person is entering in a prompt and asking for information, there should be some third-party app or there should be a third-party user who's verifying that these prompts are not malicious. All right, and last but not least, to wrap everything up, we have pro-Russian hacktivists who are taking advantage of exploits and targeting OT systems. These are operational technology systems. So things that you would use as far as like in a milk plant or in a factory. Russian pro-hacktivists are targeting these machines to try and destroy American infrastructure and destroy the American economy. So the best way to protect yourself from these pro-Russian activists is you can do three things. Reduce the exposure of your OT asset facing the public internet, adopt a mature asset management process, and ensure the assets that you're using are robust in their authentication procedures. Multi-factor authentication doesn't just stop when you're trying to access a network. It works for SCADA systems and it works for OT systems as well. So make sure that you're authenticating the people that are working with this. And that wraps it up. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and comment how I can make these videos better for you and more entertaining, or how you can retain information better. If you go to my channel and you look at the YouTube Shorts page, you will find AI video descriptions of any of the key terms that I talked about during this video. And I wish you a happy holidays. Be safe and stay dangerous, Rangers.
Says she on a vacation to the Bahamas, Gucci, Louis, and Prada. She rockin' it like a model. Know I'm gon' spend them dollars. Alright, holla, lil' mama, know you need that. I say now, holla, lil' mama, know you need that. Yes, why, yes, and I've been blessed.